Hello and welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is ChaosMole and today we are watching Power On, the story of Xbox, Chapter 6, which is the last chapter of the Xbox documentary, and so far it has been really good. Like, they talked about a lot of issues, a lot of things they solved, and a lot of problems along the way, and how Xbox basically became a brand. And Chapter 6 is the last one. We just finished Chapter 5, where Xbox basically reached the peak of the Xbox 360. Like, those were the heydays, and now they slowly prepared for the Xbox One, which, as we all know, will not be pretty. Like, it was basically the time where Microsoft seriously considered to just let it be. Like, just leave console gaming behind. And we will see what they have to say about this. Now, you might ask, who are you, by the way? Well, my name is Mo. I have been working in the gaming industry for over 11 years as community manager, consultant. I have worked on bigger projects like Black Desert Online or Final Fantasy XIV. I've also worked as a games journalist for multiple years, and now I've been working as a content creator for multiple years. And I have been going around in the gaming industry, so to speak. I have seen the good stuff behind the curtain and the bad stuff. So I can give you a lot of insights about things which have happened in the gaming industry. And I've also been playing video games, and I've been following the gaming industry for over 25 years. So there's a lot of knowledge to tap in. And I would say we are starting right here. Shall we? Yes. Let's do this, and let's watch the last chapter. Oh boy.
On May 21st, Microsoft will unveil its latest Xbox system. Xbox has been the best-selling gaming console for
with a
27
weird name.
consecutive months. We're expecting a slew of entertainment options, including possibly taking over your cable box and also delivering web content in easy and attractive ways.
It was exciting to think about what a single-purpose, dedicated entertainment console could be. So we picked that as a path with Xbox One.
I mean, in itself, I said it before, that wasn't the wrong decision.
Parts of gaming and entertainment.
But you completely forgot about gaming.
We wanted to bring new audiences into Xbox. People that were outside of what traditionally was thought of as our core gaming audience. That was really the intent at the time.
Yeah.
Within the company, there's always a sense of do more and grow. But I think Don was looking for, like, what's that next big leap after Connect? And I think there was a sense that TV could be that thing.
Microsoft's
Which
gaming
is
platform
weird,
is becoming a true entertainment hub.
because in 2013, TV was already dying. Cable was already dying. And yeah, sure, Netflix was growing, but that was Netflix. Everything else didn't really matter at the point. So it was really weird that they started to focus on all the cable aspects, like sports especially. And I have to say this, when I saw the announcement as a European, I was looking at it and I was like, dude, you can be lucky that I care for NBA, that I care for the NFL, because I'm watching those. But I can tell you that 90% of the people don't care for American sports. And even the people who are living in the States and who have watched this and which were fan of American sports, we're just looking at this and we're like, what is this?
It just announced that for the first time, people are using the Xbox more for entertainment, TV, movies, and music, than for playing video games.
Yeah.
Think not only about gaming,
Again, it
but
wasn't a
television,
wrong choice.
movies, stories that lived inside our gaming community.
The problem
something
was
that I believed in.
they
Okay, this is an
completely
interesting idea.
forgot about
Microsoft's gonna get
games.
behind linear entertainment as well.
Xbox Entertainment Studios. The idea was to take Xbox the brand from gaming to Xbox the brand as entertainment.
Movies, music, television.
They're still doing
contribute
it
a number of
nowadays, by the way.
documentaries.
Just not
We all had big eyes for that. It's like, whoa,
that
we're
much.
gonna go Hollywood now.
And action.
Oh god, I watched this reveal live with colleagues.
Microsoft's next-generation console was finally ready to be unveiled at a media event codenamed Newcastle.
It was
Coming
so
off the
bad.
success of the Xbox 360, expectations were through the roof.
Good morning, everyone.
I
On
didn't
behalf
had
of
any
the entire
expectations.
team, we're thrilled to unveil the ultimate all-in-one home entertainment system.
We did a stream from around the world and invited a bunch of media and influencers up to watch.
I know that they invited me, but I didn't go. I didn't.
We have it streaming.
I
on
was
our
just like,
television.
I can watch
We're all
this
really
at home.
excited.
Team Xbox is on a new mission to become the all-in-one
So I did watch that with
system
colleagues.
for every living room. The place where your games, TV, and entertainment come alive.
We're driven to build a future-proof system that brings together the cloud, smart devices, new content.
We are really excited to bring the world of Halo to Xbox as a premium television series.
We're sitting there listening to it the whole time. And I remember one of our engineers said, like, they're not even talking about any of the games yet. Are they going to talk about games?
With Kinect,
Yeah.
we made you the controller.
This is human control for a human experience.
It was all about entertainment, even
Yep.
in partnership with Steven Spielberg, and they showed a TV guide at the reveal event. I mean, that was really like the vision.
This is the beginning of truly intelligent TV. Xbox, watch TV.
You said television. We wanted to hear video games.
You know, we showed a few games, but core gamers
Sport
were
games.
left unsatisfied.
We're all in the green room, and as each person would get off stage, you know, the execs in the room would ask what the pulse is on social, and it was not good.
This is not going well.
Nope.
This is not going well at all.
I am really, really disappointed.
I think I'm gonna go into mourning now. That's how I feel about you, Xbox One.
There were hypercuts released minutes after the initial unveiling of the Xbox.
Watch TV. TV remote. TV, TV.
Television, TV, TV.
Like, if you haven't seen this live,
That was not the right way to unveil the next generation.
I think it was like 2 hours of boredom. And it is not a good sign when you were watching like a 2-hour show and you're just sitting there and be like, what am I doing here? What is this? Like, if you want to show me a setup box for, like, you know, cable TV, thank you. No, I don't need that. Like, and I think it was a bit of this cockiness Microsoft had at the time, thanks to the Xbox 360, where they believed that gamers were just following them around now, right? They did amazing with Xbox 360. They conquered basically the console market, and then they were just like, okay, cool, we did it. We have the gaming market under control. Let's move on to the next big thing. And the gamers were like, but we're not done here. We're not saturated yet. Like, where's the next big thing? Huh? Yeah, it's TV. What? Like, but it gets worse. You think this is already bad?
Wow. That was the worst gaming event that I've ever watched, ever.
Probably could have done a better job of reassuring people that we were committed to excellence in gaming.
The
Don't
response
reassure,
was so
show.
negative, and that was when I knew our lack of focus was going to hurt us with our core audience.
Yep.
I can't even start.
The Newcastle reveal really was about showcasing the entertainment proposition that was going to come with the Xbox One.
We knew that E3 coming up in a few weeks was about games. We'll talk about all games when we get to E3.
But the damage was already
In
done.
hindsight, definitely not the right decision. You don't
No.
tell console gamers to tune into something and then not show them the games.
The next evolution of gaming is a voice remote control for your television.
The Xbox One reveal had obviously underwhelmed fans.
And they
but
could do
Microsoft
worse.
Saw an opportunity to right the ship just 3 weeks later on the game
Nope.
industry's biggest stage.
This is an exciting day for our teams. And as we've been promising, it's all about the games. We're excited to share with you a stunning lineup of world premiere gameplay and announcements.
The ball's in Microsoft's court, and they come out and they show some games, and then right at the end of their press conference, I remember looking up at the teleprompter.
Xbox One will launch this November in 21 markets around the world at $499 in the US.
$499.
At the time, the ideal price point was $399.
Yes.
Anything that over $399.
Sony just learned that. But that's not the only thing. Let's see if they're getting into this or if they are letting this out.
Was that with Xbox One, Don's view was the new Kinect was going to be required as part of the box.
Yes.
So it was no longer just a peripheral like the original Kinect. Now you were going to be forced to buy one.
This is a terrible mistake. A huge mistake.
Absolutely. That cranked up the price tag by 100. And also at that point, keep in mind, this was the time where the NSA scandal was starting. And especially here in Europe, I can tell you that people were very concerned about this. Sure, some people were a little bit too concerned about it. And sure, then later on, we all found out, hey, our bureaus are not really better. Okay, cool. But back in the day, it was just weird when you told the people, oh yeah, so this American product with a camera will be in your living room and will be on at all times, so it can hear you when you say Xbox on or anything. And it's like, you were telling me that there will be an HD camera being on 24/7 in my living room? Even when the Xbox is off? Yeah, sure. And I pay $100 more for it than the PlayStation 4? Okay.
Like caused a disconnect. Why are you charging me more money?
Okay.
I don't want this.
Kinect had so much promise.
It had.
It just wasn't ever going to be a thing.
But don't force
that
it.
Hardcore gamers wanted.
Especially when it upped the price by $100. And then later that day,
okay, they seem to step over that one point. Microsoft made another announcement that day, which unfortunately is not mentioned here. But basically the announcement they made was you need a permanent internet connection to utilize your Xbox One. If you don't have a permanent, stable internet connection, tough luck. And back in the day, I remember that the clip is still out there. Jeff Keighley was going up and was asking them like, okay, what are you telling to the people who don't have that internet connection, who have like unstable ones, who have one which is not a flat rate, especially in America, that's still a thing, right? And the answer of John Metric was literally, for those people, we already have a product in our product family, and it's called Xbox 360. And you were like, no way. You didn't just tell people who are hyped for your next console to go and buy an Xbox 360. Like, let me see if I find the clip super quickly. Let me see if I can find the clip. It is an old clip, probably not on YouTube anymore. Yeah, there it is, Don Metric. That was such a bonker thing. Let me show you this super quickly.
All right, I'm backstage here at the Galen Center at the Xbox Media Briefing rehearsal.
And they haven't had a chance to use it. 33, and this show is all games.
Yeah,
and I think people are going to love it. And a box that is designed to use, to me, is a future-proof We have a product for people who aren't able.
Yeah, here.
On the other way, if we didn't do it, and fortunately, we have a product for people who aren't able to get some form of connectivity. It's called Xbox 360.
Right. So stick with 360. That's your message. If you don't,
Well,
people don't like it.
if you have zero access to the internet, that is an offline device. And
Like, wow, just wow. You know, that's not something you are telling people. You're just not telling them that.
Sony announces the price of the PlayStation 4.
I'm very proud to announce
Yeah, they actually
that
waited for the
PlayStation
price tag.
4 will be available at $399.
Yep, they were waiting for this.
We were surprised by the $100 difference. You know, then it's like that's a pretty big headwind to come back from.
You have essentially the same hardware, but one device is $100 cheaper. Cool.
And the PlayStation 4 even had more horsepower.
And that's where they lost.
360 set us up for being the best box for developers, the best box for core gamers, and we then flipped it around and said, this isn't a dev box, this isn't a core gaming box, this is an entertainment device.
Yep.
People didn't know what to think, they were just confused.
You know, they wanted to push into this digital future. The idea was all connected all the time. The console,
Which we are getting there.
be able to check in with Microsoft servers, or else the games wouldn't work.
Your content is available and it's stored in the cloud.
There were going to be benefits to this, but Microsoft did a bad job of messaging those benefits.
you don't always have to be connected, but for a lot of things like multiplayer gaming, for streaming content from the internet, you're going to need an internet connection. That's the world we live in.
One of the biggest points of confusion was how the new, always online device complicated the selling, trading, and gamers' biggest concern, sharing of games.
We knew the digital age and era was coming. We knew it.
They actually had a pretty cool system, but they explained it badly.
Connected to play your games. You're gonna play your games on your Xbox One. Here's a disc. Load it in, and you were gonna have to get a license for that disc. But you had to be online to buy the license. So it's a great way to not have people do big downloads, but here's the disc and just pass it around. That's it. Simple as that. Well, that wasn't clear.
Yeah.
It seems like every single outlet got a slightly different statement on used games.
Yep. You can't share games between friends.
You don't own the game you're buying.
Yeah.
Don't pretend like you own this thing that you just paid for.
And then stuff got really ugly.
Sony came out guns blazing with the immediate response to the Xbox One.
I remember that.
This is how you share your games on PS4.
Thanks.
One person just hands another person a disc, because you weren't going to be able to do that.
That
with
was
an
so
always
cheeky.
Online Xbox One.
Your game is your game. You own it. You can sell it. You can trade it in. That was that was brutal.
Absolutely brutal. Waste to it. Yeah.
As a team, you've got to take some bets on things that you believe in and put that thing out.
Sure.
Clearly, in hindsight, it was wrong. People didn't want to spend $499 for a box to plug into their television to watch TV.
They weren't wrong. Microsoft wasn't wrong.
No,
that
it wasn't.
gamers Wanted and expected more from their consoles. Absolutely. In fact, it was Microsoft's fault, if anything.
They were too far ahead of where their
The industry
users
setting.
thought they should be.
Yeah.
And there was this whole backlash that they didn't expect.
In 2013, the world wasn't ready for it.
We got pushback from consumers, for some journalists.
If they would have
questioning
announced
whether we
this
made
in
the right choice as a
2016 or
company. It was a valid
2017,
criticism,
things would have
but it was a
looked very
binary
different.
choice, and we chose to bet on online.
It was a dark moment for us, and very, very, very painful.
There goes Rise. We will never see a second one.
News raced around the tech blogs Monday that the man behind Microsoft's future console, the Xbox One, is leaving the company.
Yep.
I wish that I would have had an opportunity to stay to execute on the vision and the capabilities that the team had created. But I ended up in the summertime announcing that I was going to be leaving.
I just remember getting an email from Steve Ballmer that essentially said, Don Matrick has left. I think we all just sort of looked at each other and were like, okay, so what happens now?
There was no fear, no failure.
And he did go to Zynga, of all places. Huh. Huh.
It was a long road, a long path from there, but the team didn't give up, didn't want to quit, didn't feel like we couldn't overcome this, and we still had to come out and deliver the console.
Well, it's here. Xbox One, finally on sale.
We had a lineup of people at the launch event. People were excited about it. We had kind of an early signal that maybe things are okay.
The MPD Group has revealed that Xbox One led console sales in December, and with its $500 price point, the Xbox One led annual hardware sales on a dollars basis.
Yeah.
By April, we were outsold 6 or 7 to 1 in the market, maybe 8 to 1.
Oh.
This was really bad.
Yeah.
Catastrophic bad.
The reality is, when you have moments like this,
Brutal. Still remember all that.
the future of the brand is at stake. You question whether or not you're gonna be here in 5 years.
It's never a given that you're gonna get to make another generation of a console.
Because it's freaking expensive.
Die every day. No one's playing on an Atari anymore. Like, nobody is playing on a Sega Genesis. We felt like our future was
Well, no, it's true. I still play the games, but
I think Microsoft learned the hard way. If you take your eye off the ball, and if you don't put gamers and games at the center of your ambitions, it's going to come back and bite you.
Our fans had lost faith.
It's collapsing.
Another movie game.
How do we re-earn the trust of customers? One thing that was very clear, more of the same was not going to work.
Quick note before we're jumping into this. I think, personally, they never did. I think they never recovered from this. The whole console generation, they might have gotten back part of the market in the US, but everywhere else around the world, even here in Europe, and yeah, Europe is a huge market. I mean, there are more people living in Europe than there are living in the US. But here in Europe, they never stood a chance. They never got back from it. And, well, they will probably talk about the changes they made because of that. But, yeah. I think they never came back.
Announced that Microsoft Studios corporate vice president
Phil Spencer is the new head of Xbox.
Let's talk about your new role. What are you going to be doing?
We're still so young.
Glass was shattered, and Phil was pulled out and put in to right the Xbox ship that was sinking.
He was there early days, studied under Ed Fries, so he knew exactly what made the original Xbox work. He was a gamer, but he was also a longtime Microsoft guy, so he's sort of the perfect hybrid.
He is a proxy for gamers. They believe in Phil.
I play lots of games with
Uncle
Phil.
Phil.
And he's always thinking about the player first.
I mean,
someone lead the platform.
he is playing a
comes from
lot
that place.
It was a big turning
of
point
games.
for us. We needed somebody that could lead us, that we trusted, that cared about the team.
And I think that's what you need.
I had no training in running a team of that size, or the platform team, or the hardware team. So I knew that it would be a challenge.
One of the things that was
But the people which were trained in this, and I'm sorry that I'm pausing here so often, by the way. I know this is like going against the flow of the video, but there's so much to be said. Like, one of the things why I think Phil Spencer is the right one, he is a gamer, and he is very critical about games, and he sees it all from a perspective of a gamer. And in a lot of industry parts of the gaming industry, we have people at the helm, which is having their master in economics and all that, right? They're really good for this particular job to lead a big team who makes like company-wide decisions and all that. But they don't know games, and they have also no interest. I think there was this famous quote once. I think it was Capcom, if I'm not completely mistaken here. Don't quote me on this. Don't quote me on this. This is the one time I'm like, don't quote me on this. But where basically the CEO in an interview said, like when they asked him, hey, what games do you play? And he was like, I'm not playing video games. I don't have time for that. I'm leading a company. And it's just that those people make the decisions for our games, though. So my question is, are you really the right person for this job? And especially nowadays, I ask me that question more and more. It's like, are you the right person for the job if you are just looking at video games from a pure economic perspective? And I'm tending to say, no, you're not. And Phil, sure, he does all that, but he is a gamer. He plays hundreds of games. He has crazy hours in, let's say, Destiny. I think Destiny 2, he has, like, what was it, like 3,000 hours or something like that in the game. Like, he plays games. So he knows the perspective, and he knows the things we like, and we certainly don't like.
Really hard about the Xbox One launch was Phil had more than a broken business. He had a broken culture.
There were people who would literally come up to me in tears.
Who had killed themselves to try to get a product into market. The product did not make gamers happy.
So I knew we had to get the team on board. We have to believe in why we're here.
The first thing that Phil did was he went after culture.
I wanted to try to continue to see Xbox be an important brand in gaming, but it's not just about me. As a leader, you realize that if we can't empower our great people to do great things, that we should give up. I knew that this effort would take the entire team, and it was going to be incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Under Phil's leadership, and with a green light from Microsoft, the Xbox team launched a plan to pull back from the edge of console obscurity.
Xbox had a lot of plates to spin. They had to gain the trust of developers. They had to make a statement with the gamers.
There was actually the point where Microsoft considered to pull the plug on Xbox, or selling it off to somebody else.
That can take years.
I don't think there was a question around where I wanted to focus.
We know that day one customer every year has to be the gamer. You expand from that gaming audience out.
With Phil being in charge, it sort of cemented putting a game face back on Xbox.
Really, the Slayer?
Marty, yeah. Big news today.
Yeah, bombshell.
Microsoft announced that a Kinect-less Xbox One is coming June 9th for $399.
Yeah.
One of the decisions that we had made is that we were going to offer Xbox One without Kinect and lower the price by $100.
And it worked.
This is what everyone wanted.
Xbox Entertainment Studios, which is better known as the TV division, has been shut down.
Shutting down Xbox Entertainment Studios was really just trade-offs we had to make.
All of the investments that you're making in that entertainment, the movies, the TV shows and things, are going to come at the expense of making the same investments in games.
It's the same thing with Mixer at some point.
More games we needed to make.
Microsoft has announced a new platform for independent developers looking to bring their games to Xbox One.
Game content is the thing that's going to drive our success as much as anything else that we do. We needed external independent developers to be successful on our platform.
Independent developers have fundamentally changed the way we play games this generation.
The smartest move that Microsoft made was they took Chris Charla, who was a developer, and said, we're going to allow self-publishing, and this is the guy who's going to really help that.
Yep.
Players don't care if it's from a big company or a single person. They just want to play fun games. And our job as a platform holder is to make that happen.
Especially because Sony didn't believe in indies yet.
Smart guy. He understands the community. He's been there himself. He was great in that role.
Sony at that time was completely behind when it came to indie. Indie was PC.
We have the ability to get,
and then Xbox came in and was like, let's do indie.
It's just an amazing experience that none of us really saw coming.
Back when Microsoft said Phil's going to be in charge, our faith went way up that things were going to change, and then right away they did. And then when Microsoft showed that they were making these moves, you were like, This has all the opportunities to really go the right way, but the gamers were still upset. And
Yep.
You're like, well, look, it's a big ship, but the changes they just made, give them a chance.
While lowering the price of Xbox One and reprioritizing developers were major steps towards getting back into the good
Still
graces
didn't help.
of gamers, a desire to enlist an entirely new
Sony was
generation of
already
players
so much ahead.
inspired Xbox to go somewhere it had never been before.
Let's go to a place.
Oh
where everything
yeah,
is made of blocks,
this thing.
where the only limit is your imagination.
The team said how many kids have their first experience with any
I can only imagine how this must have gone for Phil. Like after all those issues, all those problems, all those failures, Microsoft literally thinking about shutting down Xbox at that point. Phil Spencer is coming into the office and it's like, hey yo, like do you have like 3.2 billion US dollars? I want to buy a video game. You want to buy Sony? No, I want to buy one video game. Nuts.
video game with mom or dad's cell phone in the back seat playing Minecraft.
The company best known for Windows and word processors will pay $2.5 billion
Or 2.5.
for Swedish game developer Mojang. That is the company behind the wildly successful.
Why do I have
ever-popular
3.2 billion in my
Minecraft
head?
game.
No, they're gonna mess it up. Right after the acquisition,
Hmm.
all of the public perception when you read about it in the press was that evil Microsoft was going to come ruin
Yep.
Minecraft.
Can Microsoft keep its hands off Minecraft and just keep that pure experience?
There was an assumption, again, that old console war thinking that Microsoft would pull it off of any platforms that weren't Windows or Xbox.
Yep.
And there certainly could have been a
I mean,
decision
Sony called Microsoft the next day. Are you pulling Minecraft from
now on,
PlayStation?
The only place you're going to be able to play Minecraft is on Xbox.
There's got to be something bigger going on here.
They called
But
them.
I'm grateful that Phil Spencer understood that what we had was a cultural phenomenon, and what we had
And
acquired almost as
they
much
said, no, why
as
would
the
we?
game was the community that came with it.
The world is changing, and the idea that limiting the places where people can experience your games is not always right.
Whether you're playing on an Xbox, PlayStation, an Android, iOS device, our goal is to continue to evolve and innovate with Minecraft across all those platforms.
The decision to make Minecraft accessible across all platforms surprised the industry. But Xbox had something on the horizon that would upend it.
Wondering what's going on, eh? Wonderful. Let's get started.
With all of the things that we're trying to go do, creating Game Pass was a decision that was going to be disruptive to the industry.
Oh yeah, which is still, I'm still surprised about that.
Service where you'd have access to a library of games and you could download and play.
And it's still the
games in
best.
full fidelity
Let's face it.
locally.
There's like no better service out there.
I've heard from people who said buying multiple $70 games is actually just economically not possible. And people wanted to play across devices.
With Game Pass, you now have a shared library with your friends, and you can just decide to say, "Hey, let's go jump on and
Like,
play this."
It's still so weird to me that people are still surprised that Game Pass is working out, and it's like, why? But Netflix is working out, and movies and TV shows are not cheap.
That might not have had the front row or front seat.
Like,
they're in there, and they're on the same level as Halo.
I don't understand why that is such a big
Building
question.
Game, if you're not a known IP, it's really easy to get lost.
Yeah. Look at Steam.
The biggest thing about Game Pass is the amount of players. I can put a game into Game Pass and 10 million players can show up the next day who might not have decided to plunk down $60 for my game.
It lowers the barrier to entry. It makes it easier.
And the data is showing that people are still buying the games afterwards.
More games. It's just like flick, flick, flick. Oh yeah, I'll play this one for a while.
And now you see other companies considering and moving in faster to the Game Pass model.
Yeah.
Game Pass is probably the future of how we distribute games.
Game Pass revolutionized the landscape of video games.
Of course,
but in order to get the most
you need
out
a
of the
lot of
tsunami
subscribers
new
for that
content they
to
were
make it work.
providing, Xbox knew it was time to up the ante.
When we launched the original Xbox, we had this tagline: "There's no power greater than X." And we were the most powerful. And we owned that.
True.
That's what our gamers expected from us. That's what we had delivered early on.
We were always the most powerful console.
And we lost that with Xbox One.
Oh, yeah.
As we thought about broadening what the Xbox One did, we had sort of lost sight of, first and foremost, this is a gaming machine.
The PlayStation 4 was a technically superior experience. You know, one friend tells his friends, hey, it's better on PlayStation 4, you should play it over there.
And you have
that
lost.
Just spreads.
Yeah.
If we were a car
Word of
company,
mouth.
we made the fastest car. And that's what was what our
You
brand
cannot
was.
stop that. No marketing in campaign in the world
What
is
we're
stopping
always
word of
about.
mouth.
We needed a console that would be more powerful than any other console.
It was about reclaiming the horsepower narrative.
So Phil delivered Project Scorpio, which they called the Xbox One X.
We went back to our roots of being the
Good name.
most powerful console ever built.
More power, more pixels, more frame rate.
Well, it was mostly
all about
4K.
Core gaming goodness.
True 4K gaming.
They engineered the world's most powerful console. They win back a lot of gamer trust with that.
Yeah.
This monster was almost like the rebirth of the Xbox brand. To continue.
It
to make
definitely
sure there's
helped.
No power greater than X as we thought about the future.
The most powerful console is a thing of beauty.
I think the big thing for me is just games.
How do we deliver the best games to people? Yeah, the games that our players love.
By studios.
Content is critical.
And one of the best ways to get the best games is to invest in studios.
That's what we like to see.
But making games is hard, it's complicated. It's about, hey, can a group of people actually effectively create something together?
We have to be really thoughtful and mindful about respecting the culture and the heritage.
I still
of the
believe that
studio,
she
but also
is
infusing
following
the power of Microsoft. There's no
Phil
magic
Spencer
formula for
if
that,
he
and
should
it's more
leave
of
at
an
some
art than
point.
a science.
One of the biggest missteps that we learned from in the past was Lionhead.
We had already published Fable 1, and it was a hit. People loved it. The beauty of that game, it was basically like a moving stained glass window. People wanted more, and so we bought Lionhead. Those were good years. The game was great. Just everything came together. But after Fable 2, Connect came along, and the Fable Connect marriage just never really took. And then Fable Journey was a passion project for a lot of people, but I think it deviated pretty significantly from the pillars of what made Fable 1 and 2 so popular.
There's some very, very sad news coming out of Microsoft today. So they're shutting down Fable developer Lionhead Studios.
We acquired Lionhead in 2006, shut it down in 2016. A couple years later, we reflected back on that experience. What did we learn?
Yeah, I think she will take over from Phil Spencer at some point. But that is a different topic. Regarding Lionhead Studios, I'm still in the strong belief that the Lionhead Studios they bought was not the Lionhead Studios which they closed down because so many people got swapped out, and it was literally just the name being a leftover. But there wasn't the developers anymore who, like, brought Fable to life. I mean, Peter Molyneux was already gone at that point, and like Fable 1, even at that point, like when you think back to Fable 1, it was an interesting game. It tried a lot of new stuff, but there was also like a lot of dreaming involved and not a lot of well execution here and there. And they seem to have the same problem with Fable 2 and then of course Fable 3. And then more and more people left. And they hired new people, and it was basically a completely different studio with the Lionhead name to it.
How do we not repeat our same mistakes?
You acquire a studio for what they're great at now, and your
Yeah.
job is to help them accelerate how they do what they do, not them accelerate what you do.
I wish Lionhead were still a viable studio.
Yeah.
It is only when you fall that you learn whether you can fly.
When we launched Xbox One X in 2017, we knew studio acquisitions were going to be huge for us. The studios we had were creating amazing games, but we wanted to have more. And the challenges that we went through with Lionhead taught us what to do this time.
Welcome to E3 2018. So with the many failures of the Xbox One, they're a distant
This was the first
second to
big
Sony.
announcement.
But to their credit, they had been doing everything right. The potential is there at E3 2018 to regain that foothold in the upcoming next generation.
We know that exclusive games from our Microsoft studios are what originally turned so many of us into Xbox fans.
The first and greatest instance of us showcasing what we do for players is what we do with our studios.
Games, and more games.
Took out the credit card, went on a shopping spree, bought some amazing companies, started promising games.
I'm excited to welcome Undead Labs to Microsoft.
And he got shopping.
It doesn't matter what your technology is. If you don't have the games, we were done. Content is king.
Ninja Theory, Compulsion Games, a brand new Microsoft studio. The Initiative, Playground Games.
Which is a bit redundant because Playground Games basically made only Xbox games. So it's
We'll
like,
be acquiring In Exile Entertainment, Obsidian Entertainment.
that was
We
big.
doubled the number of internal studios to 15 internal studios and made a big group of acquisitions.
Double Fine Productions.
Buying all those studios, Microsoft focused back.
Hey,
on the
Psychonauts
hardcore
2 was
games.
amazing.
Highlighting 60 games for you. 14 games from Xbox Game Studios and over 30 games premiering in Xbox Game Pass. Let's jump in.
This volley of acquisitions created one of the largest, most diverse catalogs in the industry. But Microsoft had its eye on one more target, and it was a big one.
Which is kind of funny that they're showing Avowed footage.
We're really delighted to
From
reach this
Obsidian.
agreement with ZeniMax and bring Bethesda into the Microsoft family.
The move adds 8 more studios to Xbox's first-party portfolio, including Bethesda Game Studios.
Yeah, a lot of people sometimes forget that Bethesda is more than just Bethesda.
And more.
Yeah.
What you really see us doing is broadening the opportunity for people to participate in what is one of the world's greatest entertainment and leisure time activities.
It's a game changer because it's bigger than anything else we've ever done in gaming. It's the third largest acquisition in Microsoft's history, which still blows my mind. And so now more than ever, like, our commitment to games is absolute.
Chances are that they have
Microsoft's commitment
more.
to keeping fans on their toes was also absolute.
Like, pretty much. They just don't want to announce something bigger than Bethesda in 2021. Or even more.
World premieres are a big
I
part
think
of this
that's enough.
show, and you guys have a lot of expectations on the internet for things. There are lots of rumors, lots of leaks.
The fridge!
Rare, I think nowadays that any new tech doesn't leak and like nobody knows that it's coming.
And it
then
worked.
Sometimes there's
Nobody knew about
surprises
this.
that come out of nowhere. Enjoy this.
It wasn't leaked, there wasn't any rumors.
Let's suppose that you were able every night to dream any dream you wanted to dream.
A lot of dreams.
And that you could have the power.
I don't think anybody saw it coming.
Nope.
It was something completely unexpected.
Nobody had that on their radar. Nobody.
Oh, this is Elden Ring?
Even the video was deliberately designed, talking about power your dreams and the visuals of that.
Let's have a surprise.
Bioshock?
And then, wait a minute, what was that?
Forza?
I just saw a car race through, and then there's like a soccer scene, and then by the time I saw Master Chief,
That's Halo!
Halo. That's what I want.
And finally, you would dream where you are now.
seeing the streamers that were streaming and their reactions, that element of surprise is so magical and so powerful.
And so fake sometimes.
Xbox! This is not the new Xbox console. Wait, this is not the new Xbox console. What? They're showing their new box? What the heck?
Nobody saw that on the Game Awards. I totally admit that. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. We all expected E3.
Meet the Xbox Series X. It was nutso because I had no clue it was coming. And
Nobody had.
Our fastest, most powerful Xbox will set a new bar.
I can tell you, as somebody who is still like networked in the industry and is still talking to my peers as journalists and who is in also some journalist chat groups and all that, when that happened, none of us was like prepared for this. Like, there are always like some rumors going around, something which is not verified or which we heard from somebody which we drank a beer with, right? And then they were like dropping something, like just rumor stuff. And there was not a single tone on this. Like, nothing. And it just happened, and we were all like, what? Like, what? How did nobody know that this was even just remotely a chance this would show up at the Game Awards? It was really amazing how Microsoft kept that under wraps.
For performance.
Games are going to look better. You know games are going to play better.
It is, in fact, the most powerful console you can have in your living room right now.
Yes! Yes!
And then they made a smart decision.
When we talk about freedom to play, Project Scarlet is the formation of our future in cloud.
Microsoft, meanwhile, launching a video game streaming service. All your games can be streamed right into your phone or your computer.
The same way the
And it
original
works.
Xbox bridged the gap from
I played Halo 5 because it's not available on
this
PC.
powerful beast of a machine that can play games locally. It's
Played
also
it
been
on cloud,
connected to the
was good.
cloud, so it will bridge the gap.
Not the
between
game, but
traditional in the living room local gaming.
the
and
cloud was
cloud-based
really good.
We envision a world where you can play any game with anyone on any device.
And you have no problems, no issues.
Of what it means to game anywhere.
We're streaming from data centers around the world to people's cell phones. We have thousands of people doing it in 3 continents. Like, that's just crazy.
And I'll be damned if it doesn't actually, I mean, it works. It actually works.
Yep.
Where are we?
Especially it works in Asia.
In the technology access story of Project xCloud. Think about the way
Now they have to figure out the
you can
interface
unlock
for some
community.
stuff.
One of the things we were really focused on with this generation was making Xbox available and appealing to the widest audience.
I think we have some unique responsibilities to bring people from different backgrounds into the experience. And in order for us to succeed in that, we need to have the right services and content and creators building things for all kinds of players.
It's about creating an opportunity for those that would not have had it otherwise.
2.5 billion people on the planet play video games today, half the connected world. And that is the scale of opportunity a company like Microsoft should go after. Being bold and making bets is part of the culture of what it means to be
They
here.
started out
I think that's true now.
to aim at non-gamers.
And it was true from the beginning.
Till they realized they don't need that because there's so many gamers and it's becoming more and more.
And we had some guys at Microsoft came and said we should do a console. A Microsoft console?
Are you mad?
It's insane to launch a game console. When you're Microsoft, you made frickin' Windows in a spreadsheet. Bill Gates took a bet on us.
You did. And you betrayed him. Well, not really, but
Something very different and revolutionary was where you were getting our energy from.
If you think about where we were 20 years ago, when I first moved into the games group, my dad was horrified because gaming wasn't a career and gaming was something that nobody did.
and still today,
One of the most incredible things is this turning point.
half of my
in
parents
how
don't understand what I'm doing here.
That evolution of people suddenly seeing the value of the community that comes with gaming.
There's a fundamental change.
And thinking that I'm basically wasting my time,
You
knowledge.
can have deep
meaningful relationships
and all that.
with people the
It's
world
like,
away that we've never met in person.
11 years of playing
Eh.
together. 11 years. We finally see
not
each
really.
other.
Even in recent history, throughout 2020, we saw that people recognized this as a way to have a social experience in a time when we had to be distanced.
Yep.
The pandemic got people to rethink how
Like
they
a
think
lot
about
of
video
people
games.
who struggled in the pandemic where the lockdowns happened and are still going on in some countries. A lot of the gamers, I don't want to say have it easier, but they have more ways to stay connected with all their friends and do what they basically did before.
It goes beyond how many units they sold. It goes beyond which generation they won or were dominant in.
I think a company like Microsoft, we should stand for something more than just what place we're in. And I want Xbox to be around forever. And I want to be able to look back on it and say, we really use this opportunity.
We don't really care as gamers how good you were a generation before.
So I'm announcing
like
the
cool,
Xbox, the
but
future of console gaming.
now is now.
A whole new
right?
platform that all of you are going to take in directions that we can't even imagine. And the empowerment that comes out of this
I
is
want
going to
this
be amazing. The
for
power of
PlayStation and Nintendo. It would definitely not happen for Nintendo because Nintendo is not believing in this. They are very conservative. They will not do this. But PlayStation, I could see agreeing to this, but I hope they're also talking about their missteps. Because again, like as much as I'm always have been more the PlayStation guy with all the PlayStation consoles I owned, more than I owned Xbox, especially because when they started to switch to also bring their games to the PC, I don't need an Xbox, right? But I would love to see that PlayStation is also talking about their missteps, especially the PlayStation 3 era. Yeah. But this was good. This was really, really good. I love this. There was a lot of information here, especially if you are not as deep as I'm sometimes in the gaming industry. They talked a lot about of the success, but they talked also a lot about the mistakes they made, and I really appreciate that. I think that's very important for those kind of documentaries. We have sometimes documentaries where companies are just celebrating themselves. I was like, yeah, but you are not like, what? Like, I enjoyed this. This was good. This was quality content, lots of information. A lot of the standard Xbox was unknown to me. Like, that was completely new territory. Like, I knew what was going on with the Xbox 360, and I definitely knew what was going on with the Xbox One because it was in my heydays of journalism. But especially Xbox was for me completely new information, which is cool. Like, it was really interesting to see. And that was good. But with that said, we are wrapping it up here. Folks, thank you so much for watching. If you watched the entire thing, thank you so much for your support. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, even though I paused a lot in this video. I think this is also my longest video I made on this series, and I'm sorry for that. But thank you very much for watching. If you're on your way out and you enjoyed this, I would appreciate if you leave a like. If you're new to the channel, you want to see more reaction videos of big gaming events, like we are covering them all, Gamescom, E3, the Game Awards, and then everything in between, which is sometimes popping up. We are all doing like reaction videos on this live on stream, and you can also catch us, as I said, live at trovo.live/ChaosMole from Monday to Friday, if you ever want to check us out. But yeah, if you want to see more reaction videos, tips and tricks for new games, gaming news I'm still doing here on the channel, I would appreciate if you might leave a subscription. It would help me out a great deal. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.